Hello once again, Mustang football fans, and welcome to another edition of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One, Marshall Local Cable Access. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at Southwest Minnesota State University, and glad you could join us again for this week's show. A great week for Mustang football. The Mustangs pick up a homecoming victory over Wayne State College. Mustangs win 40-24, had a great game both on offense and defense, and special teams came up with some great plays as well as the Mustangs snapped their losing streak and again pick up that homecoming win, beating the Wildcats 40-24. And joining us as he does each week is Cory Sauter, the head coach of the Mustangs, and again Southwest with the homecoming victory over Wayne State 40-24, and we've got lots to talk about in this week's episode. We'll also take a look at highlights of the ball game, and there was plenty of them in Coach. And first of all, as we talk about each week, you take each game as kind of a mini season. Let's go 1-0 this week, and the guys really just focused up, as you talked about, had a good week of practice and really had a goal to beat Wayne State, and boy, did the guys really play well.
Well, they did. Over the years, we've had a lot of good games against Wayne, and for whatever reason, we haven't been able to beat them. And I wasn't aware of the fact, too, that we've struggled so much on homecoming. The last victory was, 2000? And so there's a lot at stake for our guys. And we finally played, 4 really good quarters of Mustang football. All 3 phases had a hand with the victory. It wasn't just the defense. It wasn't just the offense or special teams. Everybody really made a huge contribution to make it a win, and that's what makes it special. And since I've been here, this is probably the most dominating performance that we've had. We've had some big wins, but versus a really good quality opponent, this was a very convincing win, and really something we needed to have, because I know our players have been working their tails off all year long, and when you don't win, you start to question some things, and it was just nice for those guys to be able to reap the rewards of all the hard work they put in this season.
Again, the Wildcats, they entered the game with the record of 4-1, and the Mustangs, after giving up an opening touchdown on the Wildcats' first possession, came back and really dominated, and at halftime led by a score of 23-10, and then put it away in the second half with really just a dominating rushing attack. And as you mentioned, Coach, all phases of the game were very good, offense, defense, and special teams, but your rushing attack over 300 yards, and that's pretty special and real demoralizing for a team when they're on the defensive side, and the team, the offense, can continue just to pound the football. And Warren Matthews and Gannon Moore did a great job of that.
Well, we've talked about this before in the show, but anytime you can run the football and run effectively, it does wear down your opponent, and we've been on the other side of that this season. And if you were to say that we were going to run for 324 yards against Wayne, there's no way I would believe that, because they're a very solid defense. They only gave up 90 yards a game on the ground going into the ball game, and it was one of those things where we found some things that we really liked. We were able to block it up, and we were able to neutralize their best pass rusher, and basically keep him out of the ball game by running the football. And but by no means were we thinking it's going to be this easy, and that's just a credit to our guys. I mean, we had some base concepts up front that were blocking, and our offensive linemen played phenomenal. I mean, they did. I mean, they were lights out. They were able to give our backs just a crease and just a little bit of wiggle room for those guys to go through, and that's really all it takes for our backs. We got 2 senior guys that we're going to miss. They're both very talented. I think they're playing at the peak of their careers right now, and it's just good to see. And we just kept feeding them the football, and they were able to get some good positive yardage and able to break some big runs. And so just a fun performance to watch by really everybody. Receivers were able to get some nice downfield blocks, hold and sustain their blocks to allow us to get some of those bigger yardage gains. We snuck in a screen there in a critical situation that Warren ended up taking all the way for a touchdown, and it was just one of those games where we stayed out of third down quite a bit. I mean, we're constantly first and second down, and it felt like we didn't even have to convert too many third downs during the ball game. And when you're on a rhythm like that, it definitely helps you out. And offensive linemen love those types of ball games where they can just run it and run it and run it. It felt like we ran it 30 times in a row at times.
Yeah, that's one thing we talked about more in Matthews, but have to give those guys up front a lot of that credit. And those guys did that. You have Kyle Johnson and Justin Knockmoose and Brandon Puffer, Jake Thiel, Alex Cedro. Those guys, the starters right now on that offensive line, did a great job all day. And of course your tight ends as well, Cody Condon, Will Kirka, both at tight end and the fullback position. I mean, it's a team game. And there's also, we'll see in some of the highlights, not only the offensive linemen, but some receivers picking up, doing a great job of getting blocks. And it's kind of a spot of the game. Receivers don't get a lot of credit, but that's how you spring those long runs, is great blocking by your wide receivers.
Right, and every ball game is going to be different. Some ball games, your receivers are going to be heavily involved with catching a lot of passes and things. This was one of those games where you get in a rhythm running the football. We're not going to do anything to get away from that. You got to force defenses to stop what you're doing, and if they're not going to adjust and they don't stop what you're doing, there's no reason why you should get away from that. And that's something that you learned pretty early on in your coaching career, that why make it more difficult than it needs to be, because you got to make them stop something, and if they can't stop the run, then it's going to be, there's really no reason for us to start throwing the ball around.
Yeah, some of the final statistics in the ball game for Southwest: 509 yards of total offense, 324 on the ground, 9 of 17 passing was Tyler Prashong for a total of 185 yards, but very effective when he had to be. We had a couple of first down pickups, third down conversions, in that running game, and hit Anthony Dean on a nice pass completion, and threw a couple of TD passes to Abe Koss, and all just a tremendous effort in the ball game. And Coach, let's talk about a play very critical in the contest. You had control. Wayne did pick up a touchdown to cut it down to a 2-score game. You're deep in your territory, fourth down and short, deep in your own territory, and there's a lot of things that go through, and yourself and your coaches to talk about those 40 seconds to go, well, do we got to go for it on fourth down or not? Either way, I suppose the momentum was going to go on Wayne State's side. If you punt the football, they felt, hey, well, we got to stop, but you guys go for it. And a great second effort, maybe even a third effort by Tyler Prashong to pick up that first down, and next thing you know, it's a 7-8 minute drive.
Well, it's one of those things where we don't get it. I look like a fool, but I really felt confident that we were going to get it, and just the way we were playing at that time, I felt if we punted the football, they would have got the ball on our side of the field, and they're starting to do some things offensively that just concerned us a little bit. So I felt our chances of getting a foot were much better than us punting it and them scoring a touchdown. And so I guess I never really, well, I did think twice, but we did feel like it was a good decision, and it did take 2-3 efforts to get it, because initially Tyler did get popped, and he kept his feet and he twisted off and was able to get the first down. But when it's 4th and inches like that, I know our offensive line is geared up, and we expect them to get us that yard, and that's really on them to make sure that happens. Wasn't as clean as you like it to be, but it's one of those, you roll the dice. We ended up winning that one, and I felt pretty confident we were able to get it.
Yeah, of course, and that, again, the Mustangs, a 15-play, 88-yard drive, the longest drive of the season for Southwest. Also aided by a roughing the kicker on a punt that kept that drive going. And then, of course, the Wildcats come down and score midway through the fourth quarter to make it a 40-24 game. And they elect to kick off. And the beauty of it, you don't get any points because you didn't need to. You just run out the clock, 8-minute drive, all runs, and that's just nothing better than that and having victory formation.
It sure is. We got 2 snaps of victory formation, and it's a formation we'd like to get in more often, but it was such a satisfying feeling, that last drive, being able to just stay on the field. They knew we were going to run it, we knew we were going to run it, and just for us to sustain some drives. We had some third downs in there that we had to convert, but all in all, it was just a great feeling, knowing that the ball game was in hand. In that fourth quarter, I think we had the ball for almost 13 minutes or something, and that's unheard of. And so I was just really pleased by just the overall effort by our guys.
Of course, on the defensive side, a couple of big turnovers. You also got one on special teams, but Graham Ketterling with his second big turnover that he's picked up this year, of course, had the fumble in the end zone against Northern State for a touchdown. He gets a deflected pass, interception. Andrew McReynolds with an interception. So true freshmen, two of them for the Mustangs that are playing, both get interceptions, and Sam Bonsu jumps on a muffed punt by the Cats, and it's just guys being opportunistic and took advantage of it and got some points out of it as well.
Yeah, Wayne has been winning games because they've been on the plus side of the turnover margin. I think they're +6 going into the game, and when you have three more, we converted 3 turnovers on them. That puts us in a great scenario. I think that you're going to win probably 90-some% of your ball games if you're at a +3 turnover ratio. And those true freshmen were right place, right time, and played it well. And hopefully that's a sign of things to come as we move forward.
And, of course, some other statistics in the game. Abe Koss led the team receiving-wise. Southwest, 4 catches, 77 yards, a career-high yards for Abe. And he also had a couple of touchdowns. And on the defensive side of the football, Tate Bunkers, 8 tackles for Southwest. Joe Stuka had 7, including a tackle for loss, and Mustangs picked up a sack in the game as well, and that was to Deshaun Miller on a blitz, and the Mustangs got that victory 40-24. And on the positive side too, Coach, we talked about last week Richard Daniel, one of the top defensive players in the country on Wayne State's team, and knock on wood, second straight week now, Tyler Pashon's not been taken down for a sack in the offensive line. We talked about the rushing side of it, but also passing-wise, giving him time to throw the football. And if they does get pressured, Tyler able to throw the ball away and not to take that sack.
Yeah, it's just about playing smart. And Tyler's smart enough to know that if the play isn't there, he's got to scramble or throw it away or find your check down. But offensive line all around is playing at a high level. And we need to have that in the second half of the season because we've got some great opponents that we're going to have to play, and as we'll talk about here shortly. So that's just been nice. But we've been able to convert some critical third down situations in the pass game. We had 3 touchdown passes in the game, which didn't feel like it. Just the number of times we ran the ball opened up some things in the passing game. And second half, we didn't want to throw much. We didn't want to put Richard Daniels in a position where he could make a big play and create a sack fumble and create some momentum for their defense.
It was a great overall team effort for the Mustangs as they win 40-24 over the Wayne State College Wildcats. Well, we've talked about plenty of the ball game and the great win for Southwest. Now let's take a look at the highlights from the homecoming win at the Regional Events Center. Mustangs trailing 7-0 after the opening drive of the Wildcats, but the Mustangs come back, Coach, and a big gain here by Gannon Moore to start this rushing attack.
Yeah, he sure does, and you can see our offensive line creates a little bit of a crease for Gannon. He sneaks through it, makes the safety miss. We get a great block by T.J. Dean, and we get a big gain, a 37-yard gain down the left side.
And there's that blocking we talked about by the wide receiver. Mustangs pick up a field goal by Lance Schuweiler to make it 7-3 Cats. And then Joe Stuka with the tackle for loss here, stringing out the play.
Yeah, but you can see how he just widens and forces everything back inside. He gets off, he sheds the block, and ends up making the tackle. And that's not an easy play to make in that big of an open space there.
And then on 3rd and 16 later on in this Wildcat drive, deep in their own territory, Bunkers come off the edge here, number 3, and gets a pass deflection.
Yep, you'll see him blitzing. He ends up twisting to the inside. You can see right there, number 3, to the right of your screen. He twists inside, gets his hands up just in time to make the deflection. That's a big play, get us off the field.
If you can't get to the quarterback, get those arms up, and Bunkers did that. Mustangs take advantage of it and take the lead, and started up by a big run by Warren Matthews.
Yep, this is our power play, which just means our backside guard is going to pull around for the play side inside backer. You can see Jake Thiel, the left guard here, pulling inside, kicks that guy out. We ended up hitting that hole pretty nicely, and we get some good blocks on the perimeter as well.
34-yard gain for Warren Matthews, and on 3rd and 8, big third down conversion, Pashon to Abe Koss.
Yep. Tyler wanted to throw it to him earlier, ended up getting flushed, and Abe usually has one or two of these plays per year where he looks like he's going to get tackled and he spins off and twists out. He's kind of a squirrely little guy that is hard to bring down, and it was just nice to see us convert this critical situation.
And that gave the Mustangs a 10-7 lead following the extra point try, and the Mustangs at the end of one quarter with that lead. And then the Mustangs into the second quarter extend it with Warren Matthews breaking free for a 38-yard touchdown.
These are fun to watch. Anytime you give the ball to these two backs, they have the potential to take it all the way. And you can just see the speed down the sideline there. From the end zone copy, there isn't much of a hole here. You can see how tight this is. He's able to squeeze through that thing and then accelerate and beat that safety down the sideline.
And the missed extra point, Mustangs lead only at 16-7, and then the defense, 3rd and 2, a big stop, forcing the Cats to punt.
And you're right. I mean, this is a huge stop. I mean, when it's ever 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, to be able to get off the field, that is a big momentum swing for our offense.
Mark Schulmeyer and company there for the stop, and here's the screen pass, 72 yards to pay dirt.
Yeah, it's 2nd and long. They're in a blitz situation. They end up bringing both their backers to the right. Kind of an ideal call for the situation, and we end up getting great blocks again. And again, anytime you get it to those backs, they're going to make something happen, and it was just fun to watch these guys take over a ball game.
Second 70-plus yard touchdown reception for Warren Matthews this year, had a 70-yarder against Mary, and look at the beautiful moves here by the senior from Minneapolis.
Just so shifty, and his hips are just able to make defenders think he's going one way and he's going the other, and just fun to watch.
A.J. Page with the quarterback knockdown, and Durante Smith with a pass breakup on this play.
Yep, huge play. Again, anytime you're in your own end of the field in the red zone, you've got to make stops, and we get great pressure there to force an errant throw, and we're right there to make the play.
And here's that sack we talked about on a blitz, and Deshaun Miller forces it up for the Mustangs.
And again, we have a double linebacker blitz inside. We got Bobo and Deshaun Miller blitzing inside. It's a cross blitz. We get just enough of them to get them down on the ground, and again, another big play for our defense.
The Mustangs take a 23-10 lead at halftime, and here's that turnover we talked about on the muff punt, and Sam Bonds, who does a great job of staying active and picking up the ball.
Huge break for us. I mean, a situation where normally they're going to catch that, but you can see we're playing to the whistle. Bonsu's actually gets knocked down on the play and gets back up and ends up recovering the football. But it was just fun to see the effort of our guys, because you just never know when that ball will pop out like that.
Mustangs would have a 38-yard field goal connected by Lance Chevalier to make the score 26-10. And here's the tip pass by Schulmeyer, and Graham Ketterline the interception.
Yep. At this point, we really have a lot of momentum going our way. I mean, when things like this happen, you get the fumble and you get a tip ball and then intercepted by a D lineman, things are going to your side. And it was just fun to see our guys playing with that much excitement and enthusiasm.
Mustangs take advantage of it. We get one shot here, and there's Bashan rolling to his left and then finding Koss.
Yep, he pumps to his left, ends up throwing to his right. Design play, well executed, and just good to see us take advantage of those turnovers.
33-10 is the score for the Mustangs following that touchdown, and then the defense again, Page and Donovan Woods, a couple of youngsters making some plays here on third down.
Right, and the biggest thing this week for our defense was just the ability to get off the field. Third downs, we held them to probably 25%, and that's a huge improvement for our defense, and guys are in position to make plays, and they actually made the plays.
End of the third quarter, Wayne State cuts it down to a two-possession game, 16-point deficit, but the Mustangs on this big drive we talked about, 3rd and 6, and found a big play here to Abe Koss.
Probably the only throw we had towards the end of the game, fourth quarter, and huge conversion. 3rd and 6. Tyler stands in there, makes a good throw. We ended up getting some pressure late, but it's good to see Abe separate from that defender and be able to get the first down for us.
A 13-yard completion, and then Gannon Moore with the big run nearly takes it to the house, 34 yards.
Yep. He just flat out makes their linebacker miss him. He bounces it to the outside. You will see Abe Koss and Adam Olson getting great blocks. In fact, Adam Olson gets a pancake block on the outside, puts the guy on his back. That's just great to see, and that pretty much sealed the ball game.
And here's the record: the all-time rushing touchdown. Gannon Moore, the all-time leader, and he just battles. This is kind of a typical Gannon Moore touchdown.
Right. It's just one of those, where we don't block everybody. There's a couple guys that are unblocked, and you can just see from this view what he has to look into. And there's defenders sitting right there, and he muscles it in, and just a great way for him to break the record. It was just a matter of time before he was going to do that.
30 career rushing touchdowns for Gannon Moore, and then here's Moore in the fourth quarter, a 13-yard gain, and this is where the Mustangs are running out the clock for the win.
Right, and this was a third down situation. We did not want to put the ball in the air. We want to make sure we kept it safe and solid, and we get the big conversion there, and ultimately helped us win the ball game.
And the Mustangs get the win, 40-24. So a great win for the Mustangs as they improved to 2-4 on the season. And a couple of notes as we talked about, Gannon Moore with the all-time record now for rushing touchdowns in a career, beating Robert Lipsey's old mark of 29 rushing touchdowns, and now Gannon with 30 in his career. We can also need to mention that Warren Matthews named the NSIC Offensive Player of the Week for his 150 yards rushing, also a 72-yard touchdown reception. So the first Mustang this season to pick up that honor from the Northern Sun Conference. The Mustangs now focus up, and as you talk about the 24-hour rule, coach, is you get a win or loss, you got to enjoy it for a little bit, but then move on. And now the Mustangs taking on the top team in the conference right now, the Minnesota State University Mankato Mavericks, who are undefeated, 6-0, ranked to the top 10 in a couple of polls, and coach are really playing well. It's going to be a challenge for the guys. We have to go on the road, but a short trip, and why not? Let's take them on. I'm sure there's not many people maybe going to pick the Mustangs, but we like that underdog role at times.
Yeah, Mankato has looked phenomenal this year. I mean, they're probably one of the best, if not the best, team in our conference. They're just playing so well. You look at all the statistics, and statistics can be deceiving at times, but I truly believe when you look at the film, they're a great team, and it doesn't take very long to figure that out. I know defensively they're the number one ranked total defense in the country, and it's never a good sign when you're looking at their defense and there's a ton of third down clips that you have to watch, especially third and long. And then on the other end of it, when you're watching their red zone defense, there's very few clips of it. That's a pretty good sign that they're not letting people down the field. It's going to be a huge task. I mean, they got players all over the field. So that 24-hour rule, we don't have much time to celebrate this last one because we've got to get back to work and get ourselves ready to go because they are very, very talented. And we've got to find a way to get some of those bounces to go our way again this week because that's what it's going to take. We need turnovers again. We need to protect the football. The same things we talked about all year apply to this game. I think we've got to play lights out. They've got to make a few mistakes, and with that being said, it's capable. I mean, we're very capable of winning this game, but like I said, it's going to be a huge challenge going on the road playing a 10th ranked team in the country.
Yeah, the Mavericks enter the game, as Coach mentioned, number one team defensively in the country, averaging giving up just 202 yards per game. They're number two in scoring defense, allowing just 11 points per game, and rushing defense, they're third in the country. So very good defense, and of course offensively they can move the football as well. They put up 52 points at Augustana this past Saturday, and they are 6-0. And it's a 2 o'clock kickoff for the Mustangs and the Mavericks. SMSU has never beaten Minnesota State Mankato. We're 0-10 all time, so why not try to break another string? It was a while there for homecoming, and the Mustangs did that last week against Wayne State. And before I forget, Coach, each week we always have a player of the week that you guys name, and this week it was a little bit different. You've gone with the team with that victory. There's so many guys that made plays on offense, defense, and scout team guys did a great job getting you ready for the week, and the whole team got all the honors this week.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we usually do a player of the week, and we're going through the list of candidates, and I mean, there's no way you could differentiate between some of the guys. I mean, Warren Matthews and Gannon Moore both had over 150 yards rushing. How do you decide between that? Offensive line graded out probably the highest they've ever graded out this season, all of them. And quarterback graded out as the highest he's had this season. Receivers blocked phenomenally. I mean, it was just one of those things. And then on the defensive side, same thing happened. I mean, so many guys were so close to being at the top of their level. It was almost as if we have to make sure we recognize that, because there's no one person, I believe, in that game that really was the ultimate outcome, just difference maker. I mean, everybody did it, and actually our scout teams did a really nice job during the week. They gave us a great look. Our guys were really prepared for what they were going to see, and it was just our guys going up against what they saw all week, and so we just felt we had to honor and make sure that everybody understood how big that was, and really, as I mentioned earlier in the show, this was by far our best game that I've witnessed, by a Mustang team since I've been here. Just all around, we've had some good offense, defense, parts of our game have played better than that, but as a group, probably our best overall game that we've played.
Congrats on the win, Coach, and best of luck this week. Mustangs looking forward to the challenge against Minnesota State. It's in Mankato at 2 o'clock. Kickoff on Saturday. The Mustangs will be at home in a couple of weeks when they take on Upper Iowa in the next home game at the Regional Event Center. So for the head coach, Cory Sauter, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One, Marshall Local Cable Access, and on smsumustangs.com. Make sure and join us next week. Until next week, go Mustangs!